All right. Well, folks, hello and welcome back to the Money Wisdom Podcast, powered by Johnson Bernetti. I'm Nick Colantuno. I'm a certified financial planner up here in our Boston offices. I'm one of your co-hosts for today's episode. Happy to be joined by our partner, Eric Hogarth. Eric, how you doing, my friend? Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm excited to be here. Hello, everyone. Eric Hogarth, senior partner, Johnson Bernetti. Happy to be on here with you, Nick.
We're glad you're back on our radio waves. I'm sure our viewers and listeners are happy to have you back. And we've got a fantastic episode for everyone today. And it really hits on the core of a lot of the conversations that we're having with clients. I know it's the case with us up here in Boston. I'm sure it's the case with you and the team down there in Connecticut, Eric. But 59 and a half it's becoming a bit of a magic number, isn't it? And the reason for it is it's a point where a lot of our viewers, a lot of our listeners find themselves with a lot of decisions that they have to make. So today's conversation is all about, I'm 59 and a half. What should I do with my 401k? Eric, someone comes in, they ask you this question. What sort of advice and guidance are you giving them?
Well, and often people don't ask the question. I'm approaching retirement, I'm 59 and a half. Are there things that I could do? Maybe I'm not aware I could do them. And that's a big thing that gets overlooked and a big lost opportunity is you have all these options available to you. And so often you're approaching retirement, maybe the market's doing great and my account's doing really well. And I'm just going to keep everything the way that it is, which is potentially a huge mistake. And everyone's situation is different. There is no set, everyone should do this, other than everyone should have a conversation with people who've done this before to figure out what makes the most sense for me. Because a big one is at 59 and a half, most 401ks will allow you to move money out of that 401k into an IRA, which most of the time is what you want to do. Definitely have a conversation about it.
And why would you want to do that?
The easiest answer is control. Right? Think about what a 401k plan is. It's a fantastic savings vehicle while you work. Well, what's happening then? I'm getting paid. I'm putting money into my 401k. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. But as it goes up and down, I'm always saving. And I'm going to do this for 20, 30, 40 years. I'm never going to take anything out. Now I'm going to retire. I'm not saving money into it anymore. All of a sudden, the market sounds scarier because I don't like the up and down when I'm not boosting it up with savings. And maybe I actually want to spend some of my money and take it out. So when you go to an IRA, you have many, many, many more investment options available to you. And that's a huge benefit to you that a lot of people miss.
Yeah, that's great advice. I always think about, the phase in life in which people are contributing to the 401ks. They're working, they're earning, they're saving, they have positive cash flow, right? They're saving this money for a rainy day, right? They're getting tax deductions, huge benefits, which is why you do it. But as you get closer and closer to retirement, I always throw the question to our clients, like, look, if the IRS allows you to move this money at a certain age, like, why do you think that is? And again, we all need to be critical of where we're getting our advice and our guidance from. And so many people will just say, well, oh, my 401k has done so well, or I talked to my advisor through the 401k and they tell me that I don't need to make any changes. But again, the business of the 401k is effectively to have that money in the market, right? You're very limited when it comes to the scope of what you can get access to as long as you're operating under the umbrella of those employer-sponsored plans. So again, you hit the nail on the head, Eric. It's flexibility, it's control. You always want as much flexibility and as much control over your money as possible. And age 59 and a half, as long as you're still working with your employer, age 59 and a half is usually the opportunity where you can have a lot more flexibility and a lot more control. So that's the first thing we'll talk on is just, okay, 59 and a half comes around. You have some options. One of those options is to roll the money into that IRA. We talked about why you would. There are some instances maybe why you wouldn't, right? If you were to have some sort of a really high yield kind of fixed interest account within that plan, if you've been working with that employer for a very long time, you might be grandfathered into a fixed rate account or something like that. That's just too good to pass up on. Anything north of like 5.5% is something I'm thinking of right now. But typically rolling that money to an IRA gives you the ability to really get access to virtually any investment vehicle in the world. And as long as the money lives in that 401k plan, the same thing can't be said. Now, you can always keep the money where it is, right? So, okay, you're 59 and a half and I want to keep it in my plan. Well, look, if you've got really good options within that plan, or if you're comfortable managing things on your own and you're still going to work maybe for another 10, 15 years, as some of our clients often do, maybe the 401k is the best thing for you. It can be the most growth oriented. You still get those deductions. It might be cost effective from an internal expense standpoint. But again, going back to what I said earlier, you have to ask yourself why you own what you own. And again, if your goal is to just grow the money as much as possible, maybe leaving it in the 401k is the best way to do that. If you're really fee conscious and you just want that money to all kind of be in one place. Is that the case? Would you agree with that?
Big thing here is you need a plan, right? What's the plan when you're 30, 40, 50, save for retirement? Well, how much? Yeah. More. Well, I feel like I did a good job. How much should I keep saving? Yep. I mean, it's straightforward. You fill this bucket up. The more you save, the better position you're going to be in. But that's the goal. Then you wind up approaching retirement. You got this chunk of money. How do I turn this into income? And people have said to me many times, okay, I feel like that's a silly question. It's not a silly question. It's a very reasonable question because, you think about balance, which is so important, right? You think about a car. I like cars, right? If you think about a car that you want to go 200 miles an hour in, don't do that. But okay, I want a car that goes 200 miles an hour, and I also want to be able to move firewood with that car. Is there a car that can do both those things? Probably not well, right? Cut the back off a Ferrari. Or maybe you have a motorcycle that goes real fast and a pickup truck that moves wood. What I'm getting at is there is no investment that's the best at doing everything. Well, it grows a lot. Probably means it could lose a lot. Well, it's really safe and I can take it out whenever I want, my bank account. What's the catch there? Well, I pay taxes on this interest I'm making and it doesn't make that much interest. And there's all these other things that are out there. So even if you love your 401k and it's done great, get some input on it, because has it done great, or are they telling you at work and the 401k provider that it's done great, okay, bias, because they want you to keep it there. And you shouldn't arbitrarily move it out, but you do want to educate yourself on what your options are, because sometimes it does make sense to keep it. Most times it makes sense to take advantage of the opportunities that exist outside of that plan. And we are bombarded with so much information, articles, marketing on fees. Well, the fees inside of 401k are really low. The fees outside of 401k are really low. Well, are they just as low? I don't know. I mean, we can point out a good advisor what you're paying here and what you're paying there, but I'd encourage you to focus on more than just cost, because the value is a heck of a lot more important. And what do you need that money to do? Do you need it to make 12% a year, or you need to make sure it doesn't lose 12% a year? Because your needs have changed. And a lot of people think about a 401k rollover. Okay, the game's over. I'm just going to stick the money in the bank. No more growing them. No, like you still need some of your money growing, but you also need some of your money available to you. And a 401k can be a real limited way to do that. In addition to the fact that it can be a nuisance to take money out of if you have to call and go through a bunch of voice prompts every time you want to spend your own money.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And what we often find is that in this phase of life, having that money in an IRA as opposed to in the 401k gives our clients the opportunity to do a lot more bigger picture financial planning. Things like Roth conversions, or maybe paying off debts, right? Again, 59 and a half means you can take money out of an IRA penalty free if you want to. Keep in mind, folks, you still pay income tax on it, so might not make the most sense to do that. But if you need to get money from somewhere, well, all of a sudden 59 and a half makes retirement money available. What you can also do is have the bigger picture planning conversations around Roth conversions. There's never anyone I met that said that they don't think they're paying too much in taxes. And what often becomes the case is you enter these early years of retirement planning. And I don't know about you, Eric, I like buying things on sale. And for a lot of our clients, that presents a window of opportunity where their taxes are on sale. So the idea behind these Roth conversions is you're moving money from the IRAs into the Roths. Keep in mind, anytime money comes out of an IRA, you're going to pay tax on it. But the beauty of the Roth IRA is you pay taxes on that money once. Then for the rest of your life, it grows 100% tax-free. Furthermore, in your retirement years, it's not going to be subject to those required minimum distributions, which of course, I hear a lot of clients complain about because they're being forced to now spend their money. And as a result, pay taxes on it. So anytime, folks, and it just often goes back to what we started this conversation talking about, flexibility and control. And in the back of my mind, I think, well, okay, if the IRS allows you to do something, there's probably a good reason for it, right? And I think they also see the environment we're in right now, and the market's never been higher than where it is. And a lot of people are overexposed. A lot of people are continuing to play a game that they've already won. Yet they're doing it because they're forced to have that money in the market. They're working with an advisor or they're working with an institution that's in the business of having their money in the market. And you have to ask yourself who that strategy is serving. I see so many people who are coming in and they've got all their money in the market, all their money in the 401k. And yeah, it's done really well, but there's really been no penalty for taking too much risk over the last couple of years. Sure, there's been blips on the radar. The market goes up, the market goes down. I mean, somehow, some way, in light of everything that's been happening, the market has been very resilient and it's bounced back when it's fallen pretty sharply. But we know that won't be the case forever. All right. So I don't use the saying of, if the market goes the other way, but when the market goes the other way, a lot of people are going to wish they had more of a plan in place than their 401k makes available to them. So that's where, again, come in, have the conversation with one of us, talk to someone on our team, talk about the options that you have when it comes to this. There are some very, very big decisions that you have available to you at 59 and a half that didn't exist until this phase of life. So you're now here. And again, not that you have to do this or you have to do that, but you certainly should have a conversation about what makes the most sense for you. So Eric, we're glad you're with us today because the offer that we want to extend to all of our viewers, all of our listeners today is actually a book that you wrote. Oh. You see it over here over my right shoulder. It's our ultimate 401k guide. Eric wrote this book because, again, as today's conversation shows, there's a lot that gets thrown at you. You need to have a conversation that's tailored and specific to you. There's a lot of places to go for advice. You need to be critical of where you're going to get it, and that includes us, right? So again, have these conversations. Text us. Text the word guide, Guide. Text our team at 800-757-0436, and we will send you a free copy of Eric's book, The Ultimate 401k Guide. Again, it's just going to talk about all your options that you have within the umbrella of these employer-sponsored plans, why there are some instances you should consider moving money to an IRA or converting to a Roth, or why there are some circumstances where maybe that's not what we would recommend. So again, it's got to be tailored to you. No one has the same situation you do. So come in, let's have a conversation about you. Again, text the word guide, Guide. Text us at 800-757-0436. We will get you your own copy of the Ultimate 401k Guide, written by Eric Hogarth, senior partner here at the firm. So Eric, we're glad you're with us. We are now moving on to our mailbag minute. So I've got a bit of a challenge for you. You got to keep these answers to about a minute. And I say about a minute because, I love hearing your responses. So if you want to go a little longer, you can go a little longer.
Nope, let's go.
But the first question here is all about using retirement funds instead of taking a loan. Eric, is it smart to take money out of your 403b to pay off a car loan, or should you take out a loan? I think this viewer's asking the right question. But again, you wouldn't want to take out a loan to pay off a loan. But I think they're asking, do you take money out of a 401k or a retirement account to pay off a loan, or are you better off just making the regular payments? What advice are you giving people when it comes to this?
Disclaimer as we begin. So I don't want all these answers to be, it depends, but it depends on what your situation is. How old are you? Are you in a very low tax bracket? It might make sense to take money off of an employer-sponsored plan to avoid paying a rate at a much higher rate. At the same time, if you're taking an early distribution, that's a disaster. Don't do that. I mean, for the people that are out there that are constantly pulling equity out of their homes or taking loans out of their 401ks, that's a recipe for disaster. You don't want to do that. but you do need to know what your cost of money is, right? If you are getting a loan, how much are you paying on that loan over the life of the loan, not just your monthly payments. That's a bad way to look at things, but also your 403b, 401k, IRA, any of these accounts. If you delay taking money out of them, you're not avoiding paying taxes, you're delaying paying taxes. So make sure you have a plan, just as you did around saving the money, on spending the money. Don't make mistakes when it comes to taxes, because a lot of people do.
It's well said. Thank you. Next, we have a great question about robo-advisor accounts. Your favorite, Eric. Is it okay to have a large amount of money in my robo-advisor account?
No. People ask me this, Eric, are you concerned about robo-advisors? No, because we work in retirement planning, and someone is not going to trust their life savings to that. And if you did, bluntly, you're going to mess it up, because it's all well and good when things are going up, but when things are going down, you're going to get nervous and you're going to be afraid that what if it doesn't work and this and that. I'm not saying you can't use platforms like this, but it has to be part of what you're doing, and be realistic about what your expectations are. If you're trying to go for maximum growth, that's what you're trying to go for, right? So shame on you if it goes the other way and you're like, oh, I didn't know. Sure you did. You signed the 800-page form, or you clicked a button saying you read it. People need a plan. And I would not entrust my personal life savings to something like that. It's the same reason that for my will, I met with an actual attorney as opposed to doing it for less money online, because I wanted that expertise and I wanted that personal relationship.
Exactly right. I always tell folks, I can't stress enough the differences between investment management. Let's face it. I mean, you could go basically anywhere and get investment management for free, or pretty darn close to it. I can't stress enough the differences between investment management and what we do for our clients as financial planners. Investment management is part of it, but it is only part of it. And again, if all the conversations you're having with your guy or your advisor are just about this fund, that fund, rate of return, performance, that's an investment management conversation. And again, if that's the only conversation you're looking to have, there are very cost-effective ways to go have that conversation. If you're looking to have conversations about all the other things that you need to be faced and thinking about in this phase of life, the estate planning, the tax planning, the gifting, the Roth conversions, the income planning, yes, the investment planning, have a conversation with a financial planner. To what you said earlier, Eric, I'm not concerned about these robo-advisors. I think they can, maybe complement what we do for our clients, but at the same time, you're comparing apples and oranges. Thank you. Our third and final question is one that we get a lot about when it comes to Roth conversions. It's a huge part of the work I do, especially this time of year for clients. So Eric, is now the right time to do a Roth conversion?
Now's the right time to talk about doing a Roth conversion. I still have yet to meet anyone who has done one who regrets having done it. And I talk to lots of CPAs that are like, I don't really like them. Why? Well, because you're paying taxes on something now that you could delay. Again, not avoid. Market goes up, market goes down. 10 years from now, how many of you think taxes are going to be lower than they are now? They're going to be higher. And your accounts will probably be higher. So you're going to take it out. You'll have more money at a higher tax bracket. You'll pay even more money in taxes. Eric, I'm not going to care. I'm going to be 75 years old. Yes, you will, because the person I just met with is 75, right? So be strategic in your tax planning. Don't throw your hands in the air and be like, oh, we all pay a ton of money in taxes. Doesn't mean you got to be leaving a tip on the taxes, right? Make sure you are not overpaying, because you very well might be, and it's not the IRS's job to point that out to you. So look at a Roth conversion. Don't wait, because if you wait long enough, you'll have missed it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. So folks, viewers, listeners, we are excited to offer you Eric's book, The Ultimate 401k Guide. It's really going to shine more light on today's conversation. It's going to allow you to navigate these decisions that you have to make with the clarity and confidence you need to make them. So again, to get your hands on that guide, text our team GUIDE, GUIDE. Text us at 800-757-0436. We will get you your free copy of the Ultimate 401k Guide. Once more, text our team the word GUIDE, GUIDE. Text us at 800-757-0436. We'll get you your free Ultimate 401k Guide. So folks, if today's conversation shows anything, it shows that in this next phase of life, there's a lot more you need to be thinking about than just this fund or that fund, right? The opportunities that you get presented with once you reach age 59 and a half could lead to some really life-changing decisions and life-changing planning. So again, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. As Eric said, you have to have the conversation. At least you should. Because knowledge is power, and if you have nowhere to go for that conversation, reach out to us. We'd be honored to have it with you. So for myself, for Eric Hogarth, for all the advisors and the staff here at Johnson Brunetti, we appreciate you joining us on this week's Money Wisdom podcast, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Johnson Brunetti is a marketing name for the businesses of JB Capital and JN Financial. Investment advisory services offered through JB Capital LLC. Insurance products offered through JN Financial LLC.